My name is Claire, and I remember sitting in my kitchen feeling the weight of betrayal settle around me. The necklace my sister gave me glistened deceptively, a symbol of trust now shattered. Trader Joe's bags were half opened around me, as if frozen mid-unpacking by my disbelief. Birthday balloons floated near the ceiling, their bright colours a stark contrast to my mood. I recalled how my sister had smiled sweetly as she handed me the gift box, oblivious to its deceit. I picked up the necklace, the cool metal feeling like a taunt about my naivety. Seeing beyond its shiny allure, the necklace seemed to unravel a hidden truth. As the truth pierced through, an unsettling thought swept over me. What else was a lie? I remembered every occasion we celebrated, each memory now tinged with doubt. The betrayal stung deeper than I imagined, like a dagger twisting with each recall of her smile. I gently placed the necklace back into its box, feeling its weight both real and metaphorical. In that moment, I understood my sister had not only taken money, but also trust and years of memories. The kitchen seemed colder, as if the discovery had leached warmth from the room. I felt the shock slowly transform into anger, a simmering realization of betrayal. I picked up a Trader Joe's bag forcefully, channeling anger into decisive movements. As I unpacked, mundane tasks offered a temporary escape from the betrayal. The routine movement lulled me into a false sense of normality, briefly quieting my stormy thoughts. My phone buzzed suddenly, jolting me out of my reverie and back into harsh reality. A message from my lawyer appeared, bringing fresh dread with the unfolding implications. The words reflected back at me like a silent echo, confirming the theft of my inheritance. Rage eclipsed my earlier emotion, anger at my sister, at my own blindness to her betrayal. I felt tears well up, a mix of anger and profound sadness pulling at my heart. Twist, a childhood memory, flared up unexpectedly, unravelling more knots of buried deception. We were kids, laughing and carefree, unaware of the shadows looming in our future. The memory shifted, like a lens coming into focus, as hidden motives unveiled themselves. I recalled her sly smile during a shared secret, now tinged with hidden agendas. The realization that my perception was clouded hit hard, the truth fracturing past joys. I admitted to feeling both a fool and a victim of my own ignorance, emotions swirling inside. Decisive. I vowed then to reclaim my inheritance and confront her deceit face to face. I straightened my back, feeling the new weight of purpose settle in, ready for whatever came next. It started subtly, like the soft whisper of a breeze before a storm. My name is Claire, and my sister Jenna was often the centre of attention. Jenna's charm was undeniable. At gatherings, she commanded the room, drawing everyone in with her stories and charisma. In her tales, Jenna was always the protagonist, while I faded into the background, the supporting cast in her narratives. "Remember the time we went on that spontaneous road trip?" Jenna would reminisce, recalling adventures through her dramatic lens. Her recounts rarely included the little details like our shared laughter or the quiet sunsets we admired together. I often shrugged off these narratives. We were family. Jenna was just being Jenna. I accepted my role quietly, but there were small moments that unsettled me, like when she avoided eye contact when Dad mentioned the will. The way Jenna's eyes flickered to her phone, screen tilted away, made my stomach twist with unease. I reassured myself it was nothing, just Jenna and her dramatic flair for secrecy. One day, out of the blue, Jenna presented me a necklace, her smile wide and eyes bright with sincerity. "I picked it out just for you, Claire," she declared, hugging me tightly. the scent of lavender and honey enveloping us. The necklace gleamed in the light, almost blinding in its brilliance, as if to erase all doubts from my mind. Yet, as beautiful as the necklace was, a seed of unease had been planted deep within me. I found myself studying Jenna more closely after that, watching for hidden motives behind her actions. Her laughter now seemed too loud, her smiles too wide, as if masking something deeper. I noticed her movements were overly elegant, each gesture deliberate, as if she were on stage. Every interaction felt like a performance, calculated and precise, leaving me wondering what lay beneath the surface. I began to question her kind gestures, noticing those small moments when her mask slipped away. Her glance would dart away when I tried to meet her eyes directly during those fleeting moments. A cold realization began to form in my mind. Perhaps I had overlooked too much in my loyalty. The necklace suddenly felt heavier around my neck, a tangible reminder of Jenna's mysterious intentions. I started recalling the hints she'd dropped over time, subtle shifts in her behaviour I'd dismissed. Her stories, once seen as adventurous, now seemed like layers of distraction from what truly mattered. The realization was like a fog lifting, exposing truths I had been blind to see before. I needed to confront this unease, possibly address the hidden strains with Jenna before they consumed us both. Facing Jenna, my heart raced. The sisterly bond was both a comfort and a chain needing understanding. "Jenna, we need to talk," I said calmly, feeling the gravity of each word as they left my lips. Her reaction was unreadable, her eyes glinting with something undecipherable as she nodded slightly in agreement. The room felt heavy with unspoken truths, an air of uncertainty mingling with a sliver of hope for clarity. We both knew this conversation could change everything, leaving us either renewed or with a gulf impossible to bridge. I sat in the spa waiting room, wrapped in a plush robe, anticipation mingled with a sweet serenity. The tranquil atmosphere was soon ruptured by Jenna's laughter on her phone, cutting through the calm. "Claire! Yeah, she doesn't suspect a thing," Jenna said, her voice mingling with sharp laughter. Her words twisted into a dagger, the tranquility suddenly feeling fragile. Jenna hung up, joining me with a delighted smile, her demeanour too casual. "How's that magazine?" Jenna asked, plopping down beside me. Trying to fend off suspicion, I forced a smile, feeling tension coil within. Jenna's words lingered, casting shadows over the peace of the day. Dinner later carried an undercurrent of unease as I stirred pasta on my plate. The question hung between bites. "Who were you talking to earlier?" Jenna met my gaze, her smile practiced, dismissing my inquiry with a wave. Her reply about an annoying sales call seemed to brush off underlying tension. A creeping doubt settled in, her explanation too smooth to be true. I mulled over Jenna's words, pondering if paranoia clouded my judgment. Every detail of her demeanour seemed strategic, designed to soothe my scepticism. The dinner conversation shifted, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Jenna laughed at a joke, her lightness contrasting my heavy thoughts. I played along, offering a smile that felt brittle as porcelain. Silence stretched between us, her casualness a stark contrast to my overthinking. Jenna reached for her glass, her eyes momentarily obscured, secrecy half revealed. Watching Jenna, it seemed there was something beneath her practiced smile. Her phone buzzed quietly on the table. A thought flickered. She might hide something. Jenna picked up her phone, checking it with calm composure, disguising any ulterior motive. Her geniality seemed to veil something larger, a truth beyond reach. Her light laugh echoed calmness in voice, yet my doubts remained stark. I debated pressing further, yet hesitated, sensing the delicacy of the moment. Jenna's conversation veered towards mundane topics, a diversion from deeper truths. I nodded, contributing to the surface-level chatter, my mind ever elsewhere. Our evening ended with a mutual smile, yet the weight of her words lingered within. As we parted ways, I glanced back, unease still rippling through me like an unfinished tale. The doubts grew stronger, tinged with anxiety, as truths clawed their way into the light. Jenna's stories turned evasive. Jenna started missing dinners, absorbed in projects she wouldn't detail. Her excuses felt hollow. Deadlines, she'd murmur, always seeming relieved to escape the house. When we were together, she'd skillfully divert the topic of our family's finances. I found myself questioning my own sanity, wondering if I was just imagining things. Each holiday felt like a performance, with Jenna whispering in the kitchen, guarding her secrets. I overheard whispers, the overlapping schedules between her and Dad's old accountant, shadowed by secrecy. Jenna's unhappiness seeped into our intimate gatherings as subtle distrust lingered beneath her words. I noticed her glances during family dinners, as if calculating her next move. Her stories took on a rehearsed nature, narratives tied together too neatly. Once Jenna slipped out late at night claiming urgent work matters left unresolved. Left alone, I pondered Jenna's evasiveness, the mixed messages knotting my thoughts. Our family's finances became a taboo topic Jenna expertly circumvented when brought up in conversation. Eventually, her complex stories painted pictures filled with gaps that didn't add up. Jenna's whispers in the kitchen were often punctuated by uneasy glances at the door. Her conversations felt like cautious chess moves, ensuring no piece betrayed her hidden concerns. I quietly observed her exchanges with Dad's old accountant, the secrecy palpable. At gatherings, Jenna behaved differently, a layer of performance wrapped around genuine interactions. I sensed she was leading a second life, her attention often divided between here and elsewhere. Then, a mini twist. A muttered phone call, suspicious as she stepped out back. She returned, her expression carefully serene but lined with hints of anxiousness. I felt a wall had been placed between us, reinforced by layers of unspoken truths. The conversations grew colder, filled with subtle tension that couldn't be ignored. The pieces started to crumble, cracks forming in Jenna's well-maintained facade. Another mini twist. Jenna's slip of a suspicious bank transaction caught me off guard. Her eyes couldn't mask the weariness that seeped from behind practiced smiles. Jenna seemed to drift through the house, an intruder in her own sanctuary. Pieces of conversations hidden away formed a puzzle demanding to be solved. Jenna continued to weave her narratives expertly, but the threads were unravelling. In her unguarded moments, the truth patiently crept into her thoughts, no longer dismissed. It was a quiet afternoon when I stumbled upon the crumpled piece of paper in my sister's purse. I recognised it immediately as the original will, unmistakable with Dad's precise handwriting. My heart pounded in disbelief as I read the altered shares written under Jenna. The world around me blurred as the truth sank in, a tidal wave of realisation crashing over me. The betrayal crashed into me like a physical assault, naked in its audacity. I found myself breathless, the shock stealing my air, teetering on the brink of breaking. I needed desperately to decide what to do next with this newfound, jarring knowledge. The room felt like it was closing in, my breaths shallow as each tick of the clock echoed loudly. I thought of Jenna, how she stood beside me in the past. Now the paper spoke of her betrayal. The betrayal stained vividly onto this piece of paper, our parents' unchanged legacy, now a distortion. I pondered if Jenna knew the weight of this deception, or if she too was caught in its silent clutch. Had she intended this? Or was there a miscalculation, an oversight in the original will? I felt a strange calm settle over me as I realised confrontation loomed on the horizon. My heart settled into a steady rhythm as I placed the paper back in my sister's purse. Decision awaited at the edge of awareness: confront or retreat. I breathed deeply, eyes closed. Images of our childhood flashed briefly, her laughter, echoing innocence now seeming a facade. I couldn't ignore the sensation of betrayal, a bond stretched thin by the weight of silent lies. The house felt emptier despite being filled with memories. Comfort twisted into something sinister. Confrontation loomed, the tension a tangible presence now, pulsing like a low rhythm underneath. There was no denying the need to address this with Jenna, though fear whispered deceitful scolds. With each step, a mantra echoed, a reminder of my resolve over fear, pain, and betrayal. I paused at the door, indecision momentarily paralysing me, conscious of what was at stake. I took a deep breath, exhaling slowly, as strength filled my limbs, a resolve to confront and clarify. As my fingers curled around door handle, an unexpected calm descended, clarity amidst the storm. Suddenly the plan seemed vivid, a dialogue with Jenna, seeking truth amidst shadows of doubt. I stepped into the hallway, nerves and courage mingling, towards my sister's room with purposeful strides. Each step echoed loudly, a rhythmic prelude to the confrontation waiting just beyond. The hallway seemed to stretch with every step, a path laden with the weight of what lay ahead. Reaching her door, I paused. Heartbeats pounded loudly in my ears, the moment of truth imminent. Despite fear's lingering fingers, I knocked, a resonating sound echoing my resolve to find clarity. I stood there at the family barbecue, surrounded by laughter and smoke, the familiar backdrop of gatherings. My heart raced as I caught sight of Jenna, the reason for my unease. The sound of sizzling meat and distant laughter felt surreal as I approached her, practicing urgent words in my mind, fearing my voice would betray my emotions. I reached Jenna, heart pounding as the planned confrontation loomed closer. Her expression remained neutral, yet revealed cracks of apprehension. "We need to talk," I said, gripping my nerves. Jenna's eyes widened slightly as if caught off guard. Her attempt at composure faltered, revealing more than intended. The backyard noise seemed even more distant. She nodded, signalling her willingness to step away from the crowd. We moved quietly towards the garage, leaving behind the merriment and entering an uneasy silence. As we moved, silence enveloped us, heightening the awkward weight of unspoken words. I steeled myself, determined to confront the reality of Dad's will. The shade near the garage was cooler, marked by a stark contrast to the barbecue's warmth. Almost isolated now, I readied myself for confrontation. "I've seen the original paper," I announced, keeping my voice steady despite the turmoil brewing inside. Jenna's face betrayed the surprise she couldn't mask. The confrontation was palpable, the words hanging between us like a tangible thread ready to break. I saw her shoulders tense, her defences wavering. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she whispered, a hesitant admission. My heart sank as the meaning unravelled, shifting the foundation of our trust. Her confession, barely audible yet deeply impactful, was a testament to shattered illusions. I fought to maintain my composure, knowing the gravity of the betrayal. Her apology hung between us, fragile and raw, its sincerity untested. I processed her words, my mind racing through implications, seeking understanding amidst discontent. I wanted to believe her, to find a sliver of honesty in her eyes. The reality of the will, now undeniable, had crossed stark lines we couldn't ignore. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I asked, struggling to keep my voice from breaking. The weight of unspoken truths bore heavily on my strained patience. Jenna hesitated, her face a cycle of shifting emotions. "It got complicated," she finally responded, evasive yet revealing layers of hidden complexity. Complicated. The vague answer only deepened my distrust. Her vague explanations twisted and turned, and I watched her struggle with the weight of the reveal. The conversation crept into dangerous territory. I pressed further, seeking clarity, demanding honesty. Our usually seamless interactions were now steeped in suspicion. As I urged for transparency, Jenna's mask faltered, revealing her vulnerability. The facade she wore crumbled, exposing hidden fears and uncharted truths. Her vulnerability was palpable now, etched visibly across her face. Yet, a flicker of defiance stood resolute in her eyes, an indication of unyielding stance. In her defiance, my irritation flared. Yet, beneath it, the fractured bond we once shared ached, demanding acknowledgement of deeper issues beyond betrayal. Trying to penetrate her defences, I spoke of the consequences. "Do you realise what this does to our trust?" Her silence hung heavy as her gaze shifted. Her eyes, diverting slightly, revealed an unsaid acknowledgement of these consequences. Yet she remained silent, grappling with her choices and their aftermath. Underneath her silence, the damage was irreparable. Trust had unravelled, exposing wounds that couldn't be ignored. I wondered if healing was possible. A memory flashed as I tried to reconcile our past. The warmth we used to share felt distant, obscured by present realities, burdened by doubt and unease. Inwardly, I questioned my next move, the room silent except for a distant hum of activity. The decision weighed heavily, demanding clarity and resolution. "Do we go forward from here?" I challenged, hoping to break through. This was a crossroads, one that changed everything we understood about each other. Our confrontation reached a crescendo, emotions teetering on edge. Jenna breathed deeply, considering if she could rebuild from the fractured foundation we faced. Her silence was punctuated by a newfound resolve. Learning to accept her decisions, she stood with newfound clarity, understanding the ripples she'd caused. The weight of our conversation lingered, but I sensed a shift, a sliver of hope for forgiveness. "Can we start again?" I suggested, aware of the tentative offer. Jenna nodded slowly. The first step towards repair initiated. We were still burdened, but perhaps ready to move forward together. Hope simmered within the newfound understanding. The world felt skewed since that confrontation, as if reality itself had bent. I stood in my bedroom, staring out the window, trying to find clarity in the street below. My thoughts were a storm. Nights had become endless, with only insomnia for company. I lay in bed, eyes unblinking as they traced shadows on the ceiling. I attempted to eat, but each meal sat heavy, unwanted. I pushed a fork around. The food mocked my futile attempts at normalcy. Memories of my sister and I surfaced unbidden. Our laughter was now a cruel joke, secrets like daggers that pierced my thoughts. I avoided people, especially Jenna. The thought of seeing her, acting as if nothing had changed, was an unbearable burden. The corridors of my home were quiet but accusing, each step echoing the nothingness that had grown between the walls. I felt misaligned, like a ghost haunting my own existence, questioning every corner of my life, every choice, every connection. A mini-twist revealed itself, a scratched photograph found among old papers. It was us, laughing, betraying no hint of what would come. I traced the edges of the photograph, memories of better times comforted momentarily, yet also deepened the hurt. Seeing our younger selves, I wondered when the shift happened. When did our days transform from joyful to strained silences? A mini-twist. I realised the change hadn't been overnight. It had been gradual, invisible, surfacing only in critical moments. I stood up, needing air, feeling suffocated by the intensity of my reflections. The office now felt like a cage. Walking into the hallway, even the air seemed heavier. The walls felt as if they held secrets, whispered them in my wake. Each picture on the wall was an echo of the past, framed memories of what seemed now like a different life. I couldn't bear it. The layers of familiarity were suffocating, yet alien. I turned away, my heart heavy with what was lost. Reaching the living room, I sank into the couch, the cushions engulfing me in their softness, providing temporary solace. I closed my eyes, hoping a moment away could calm the torrent inside. My mind wouldn't quiet, a relentless barrage of thoughts. I forced myself to shake off the inertia, realising that change wouldn't come from waiting. I needed to act, to find clarity. Determination set in. I knew confronting Jenna was inevitable. Avoidance was no longer an option, despite the pit in my stomach. I stood, steeling myself for the confrontation, knowing it would reshape everything. Each step towards the door felt monumental. The world outside felt fresh but unnerving, the usual neighbourhood somehow unchanged yet different. I hesitated, inhaling brisk air. I steeled myself again, each step making the confrontation more real, the distance to Jenna's place shrinking with every breath. A neighbour waved from their driveway, their presence startling but grounding. I returned the wave, feeling disconnected from my own smile. Continuing, the gravity of what I was about to face returned. It pressed heavily against my chest, my pace quickened unconsciously. Halfway there, doubts crept in. Whispers of hesitation urging a retreat, but the momentum pushed me onward, despite the internal chaos. Reaching Jenna's door, I felt a rush of fear and resignation. My fingers hovered as I summoned the will to knock. A deep breath steadied me, and my knuckles met the wood with finality. The sound seemed to echo, marking the point of no return. The door opened slowly. Jenna stood there, surprise etched on her face. Words didn't come easily, hanging in the air between us. My voice wavered. "We need to talk," I said, finally breaking the silence. The beginning of the confrontation hung heavy between us. Jenna nodded slowly, stepping aside to let me in. The air between us felt charged, the gravity of the moment undeniable. I sat in my car, staring at the steering wheel, hesitating. My name is Claire, and this was a moment I needed to face. Exhaling deeply, I stepped out of the car, letting the calm, suburban air wrap around me. As I walked towards Miranda's door, my heart fluttered with both nervousness and hope. The door opened with a cheerful creak, and Miranda stood there, welcoming and warm. Stepping inside, the fragrance of freshly brewed coffee enveloped me, instantly soothing. I settled onto her plush sofa, grateful for the tangible comfort around me. Miranda handed me a steaming mug of coffee, our connection rekindling through shared smiles. We sat, enveloped in a silence filled with understanding, the air light with scented coffee. Miranda's voice broke the silence, her words resonating deeply, sharing her own battles. Her story echoed my struggles, weaving threads between our experiences that felt familiar. "Secrets can't hold against truth forever," she said, and I felt a shift within me. Her words struck a chord, a mini twist of perspective blooming unexpectedly. Against the backdrop of past chaos, I felt strands of resilience weaving through me. We laughed, lightening the mood, a harmonious counterpoint to heavier emotions. Miranda encouraged by sharing more of her resilience, planting seeds of courage. My feelings of isolation loosened their grip, replaced by a burgeoning sense of community. Embraced by Miranda's steadfastness, I sensed the dawn of newfound determination. We wrapped the conversation in warmth, knowing this was a pivotal encounter. Standing in Miranda's doorway again, I felt lighter, like stepping towards renewed possibilities. Miranda's parting words lingered, like a promise that truth was brighter than any shadow. Walking back to my car, the sound of sprinklers painted the solitude with a new rhythm. In the car, I sat for a moment longer, filled with gratitude for Miranda's sincerity. Turning the ignition, the car hummed to life, as if reflecting my renewed spirits. As the car moved slowly down the street, my mind returned to Miranda's assuring words. A mini twist bloomed inside. What if my isolation had only been a prelude to strength? The road unfurled before me, each new turn echoing the promise of change and resilience. I drove past familiar intersections, metaphorically leaving behind past patterns of loneliness. Ahead was the horizon I once feared, a symbol now of empowerment rather than limitation. With each kilometre, fear yielded to courage, sparking excitement for what lay ahead. This journey, sparked by Miranda's kindness, was just beginning, a tapestry of hope unfurling. The morning light filtered through the curtains as I realised the clarity settling in my thoughts like a calm after a storm. Jenna's veils started to unravel in my mind, each layer dropping with unexpected ease. I sat back, feeling a newfound connection to the genuine people around me, the ones who had always cared. Their support transformed from subtle sympathies into a robust pillar I hadn't realised I leaned on. Every interaction now revealed raw truths, offering insights into Jenna's intricate deceptions. Strength wasn't in clinging to the past, but in discerning and releasing it. I embraced this revelation, understanding that authenticity forged real, thriving connections. The facade of forged friendships began to crumble, leaving bare the reality of their transient nature. Amidst letting go, I stumbled upon surprises, the realization of genuine bonds I hadn't appreciated fully. Each newfound step echoed resilience, guiding me toward a path of transparency. Even the whisper of courage began to lead me, whispering truths I needed to face. I faced the once daunting task of introspection with newfound courage, feeling lighter with each revelation. The memories of those playing roles receded, leaving clarity and a world of genuine connections. I chose intentionally, understanding what needed to be held close and what to let go. Friends who stayed for genuine reasons became my anchors, illuminating my path forward. Their unwavering loyalty painted my journey with hope and untainted camaraderie. I discovered that letting go wasn't an abandonment, but an embrace of what truly mattered. These authentic bonds enveloped me, gently leading me towards a truth beyond facades. The quiet strength within me whispered promises of a life led by genuine intentions and courage. I found solace in knowing true strength wasn't outward bravado, but internal resolve. In walking this path, I discovered strengths that were quietly waiting to emerge. As I retraced the steps of introspection, I acknowledged parts of myself previously ignored. I felt a transformation, an authentic self emerging, unburdened by past pretenses. The whisper of courage became stronger, leading my heart towards acceptance. Each day was a step closer to a life where authenticity reigned over facades. The journey from shadows to light was clear, each step guided by inner light and newfound ties. I turned to see an old friend standing there, their eyes mirroring the same journey I had just traversed. We shared stories, understanding that all connections weren't lost, just redefined. We laughed about old memories, the ones still alive and untarnished by deceit. Leaving the past behind wasn't abandonment. Each step towards authenticity was a chapter in my new journey. In the dimly lit room, I clutched the necklace, once a symbol of deception, its weight symbolic of truths about to be revealed at our family gathering. I took a deep breath, scanning the room where loved ones chatted, oblivious to the storm about to break. I approached Dad, who sat at a distance with a distant gaze, signalling he was deep in thought. "Dad," I said softly, breaking the thick air between us as everyone fell silent, sensing a moment unfolding. His eyes met mine, a mixture of curiosity and an underlying wariness that announced the gravity of my confrontation. Taking a step toward the centre, I felt eyes on me as the weight of the necklace seemed to echo my heavy message. Jenna's face flickered with confusion, eyes darting toward Dad and then me, sensing a shift in the evening's narrative. "It's time everyone understood," I heard myself declare. Transformation in air, words threading honesty amidst silence. Silence charged the air, followed by a rustling curiosity as expressions began to shift from tranquility to shock. The necklace, a deceptive relic, now swung gently from my hands, reflecting the seriousness of every word spoken. Jenna's silence was startling amidst the room's whispers. A testament to truths she had avoided yet knew were undeniable. Dad, eyes softened yet resolute, seemed to shrink slightly but remained composed, accepting the consequences unveiled. I watched Jenna transition from disbelief to reluctant acceptance, her eyes revealing the struggle to adapt to new realities. Her quiet acceptance signalled a change within, an evolution from denial toward understanding that rippled through the room. As I spoke, the initial resistance melted into palpable curiosity, each face craving resolution within the unravelling truths. "Justice isn't always loud," I concluded, reflecting on the weight of my words and the lingering calm after the storm. A victorious exhale left my lips, casting echoes over painful memories, now softened through revealed truths. I glanced at Dad, seeing a shift, a newfound relief subtly tracing over his aging features. Releasing the necklace, its dull shine symbolized how deception had transformed into a beacon of clarity and justice. Jenna's eyes met mine again, our shared understanding bridged by unveiled truths, circumventing walls her silence had built. Finally, Dad nodded gently, a subtle acceptance of his role within the unfolding narrative, easing his burden slightly. "Truth heals," I whispered almost to myself, aware of the profound release shared between us all in that quiet rupture. Embracing the moment, each face reflected varied responses, from liberation to strain, held in the crucible of revealed truth. Walking toward the door, footsteps echoed, symbolizing my movement from the chaos, anchored by past deceptions to a present grounded in truth. As I exited, whispers began to rise anew, their tone shifting from shock to discussion, a testament to change set in motion. Turning back briefly, I saw Jenna's silhouette against the backdrop of emotional evolution that had begun that evening. Closure felt tangible as light outside illuminated the path I took, leaving echoes of liberation whispering within. The burden lifted. Each step felt lighter in this newfound reality grounded in shared truths and mutual understanding. Looking ahead, I saw potential, a future untainted by former deceptions, offering clarity amidst the familiar cityscape. The choreographed whispers in the city now harmonized with my pace, each note reflecting a victory over past shadows.